Welcome back to Guitar Solo Dojo. Jason Moore here. Today I got a request to cover a riff from a very controversial guy. But no matter what you think of the guy, there should be no doubt that the riff is actually very cool. I'm talking about Stranglehold from Ted Nugent. Anyway, so we won't talk politics or anything about that because that has nothing to do with how cool this riff actually is. And admittedly, I had never really listened that carefully to this riff. So there was a lot of things that I heard and I was kind of playing it sort of, somebody's, hey, can you play that riff? And I thought I was pretty much just playing it right. But upon further reflection, actually listening to it to get ready for this video, I realized there was a lot of stuff that I kind of misinterpreted. So to start, the riff is actually less busy than I thought. There's a fair amount of reverb on the recording. And there's a lot of little things that I would do. I'll play it slowly that I just, my ear was thinking it was there and it was never actually there. I would add in all these little 30-second note on the A string. And the A string is just pretty much steady the entire time. There's one little tricky part, actually, well, maybe two tricky parts in this riff. One where he does a really quick 30-second thing right up here. So we'll just kind of delve into that a little bit. But there's not a whole lot to it. Later on, it does some variations of it and it gets cool. But I'm only concerned with the first part of the song because that's what I was asked to do. Anyway, so we got this basic riff, really slow. It's just pretty much steady. I think if we think of it as a 16th note rhythm, it's kind of a halftime feel. But you could certainly think of it as eighth notes. Right? But I think that's not really the vibe of the song. So when I say 30-second notes, it's probably a little deceptive. The basic rhythm is a 16th note groove already. So 30-second notes are just going to be twice as fast as that. So to start, we get this basic thing where I'm hammering on the D string from a G, 5th fret, to the A while hitting the open A string with it. Okay, this basic idea here, it's easy to figure out. It's easy to look at tablature or notation, whatever you want to look at, and figure that out. That's not really the challenge of this. So we got... That's it right there. That's the part. And one other mistake I thought that I knew how it went was... He doesn't really land on this note right here. He just goes right back to the open A string. So then just this real basic G power chord, shifting up to the A power chord, right? And then we repeat that riff again. This really cool thing that at first listen I thought it was maybe a tap harmonic that he was sliding, but he's actually, and he explains this in a video when he's talking to somebody, that he gets this very soft sound which kind of gives the illusion, like I said, of a tap harmonic, maybe like going that kind of effect. But really what it is he's just using, like he said, the edge of his thumb to soften up the attack. And that in itself can kind of create a sort of pinch harmonic effect, even just by using the edge of your thumb. Instead of using the edge of my thumb, I'm using my middle finger and my ring finger to hit those two strings individual. It's just easier for me to do, and it makes more sense just for the style that I typically play. So I'm going to just do that, and that's it. So coming out of the second half of the riff... Now, it's very, very straightforward, not a big deal, but if you want to get really detailed, there's ways you can approach this little slide to make it cleaner. So I'm using two fingers. It doesn't matter which two fingers. I'm using my third and fourth. You could use one finger, but what tends to happen when you use one finger to bar these, you might end up hammering on to something extra that you didn't want to have ring out. And it's really got this cool, delicate sound, so I'm trying to avoid that. So that's why I avoid anything extra. And so I just use 2 fingers to get very precise how I want it to sound, and then using these 2 fingers. But if it's easier for you to just kind of shift or finagle your thumb, or maybe use the thumb knuckle, I don't know exactly what he was doing there, but I'm using these 2 fingers. So I'm assigning my middle finger to the G string and my ring finger to the B string. And that's all I'm doing right there. So one other thing of note on this is that it's not like this standard sort of 80s kind of thing where you go. You got this real strong pedal tone. The A string that he's pedaling on is almost de-emphasized. It's kind of an afterthought, but it sounds really cool. So just don't go at that open A too aggressively. It becomes intrusive and kind of takes away some of the cool factor of that riff. As far as the rest of the song goes, you're on your own, but have fun.